Hey everyone, it's Rod. I'm the host of Untethered Consciousness. Thanks for joining us today. It's 9 a.m. in Sydney. I've got my great friend Jason joining us from a very hot vehicle in California. Welcome, Jace. Good to see you
Hey,
again,
Rod.
buddy.
It is. It's been a while. How you been?
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot going on. There's not quite as much as what's been going on with you, I don't think. Anyway, I just want to do a quick bit of housekeeping. So, if this is your first time here, or even if it's not your first time here, just let us know in the comments where you're from. It's always interesting to see which country people are from. If you do have a question for Jason, just to make it easy for me to separate those out from the general, feel free to chat amongst yourself, but just from the general comments, just add a Q in. Now, if you don't know who Jason is, we're going to get into that. He's going to do a quick introduction of what's been going on. But in a nutshell, he had a near-death experience a number of years ago. Jason was actually the very first guest that I had on the Untethered Consciousness channel. And for that alone, I'll be forever grateful. And there's certainly been a lot of water under the bridge since then. So, hey, Jace, why don't you tell us what's been going on, man? I know you're currently literally living in your car at a truck stop. Give us a bit of backstory. Let people know how things have gotten to where they are at the moment.
Sure thing. So, hello everybody. Again, my name is Jason Janas. I was Rod's first near-death experiencer on his channel. Why he reached out to me, there are no coincidences. So here we are. But if I'm adjusting myself, that's fine. So what happened? I had my near-death experience in 2020, and I've had profound spiritual experiences since then, but there was a very profound one in 2023 that led me to where I am here today. I was trying the dating game again. I've been divorced for almost 10 years now, and I had come out of sushi, and there was like a bum, like you would consider a bum. There was a bag and a cane and just some guy in ratty clothes sitting at the back end of my Jeep. And the person I was dating was like, "Don't go over there, don't." And I'm like, "No." I went over there and talked to him, and he was just smiling at, just smiling, just this beautiful smile. And I'm like, he was talking. He goes, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good. How are you?" And he goes, "You love video games, don't you?" And I'm like, "Wow." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." But as a matter of fact, and I said, he goes, "Well, don't mind me. I'm an alcoholic, and I've lost my house. I'm here in Oconomowoc I'm here in Wisconsin to help a my girlfriend get a divorce." And he looked right at my partner that I was with, and she was going through a divorce. She wouldn't go get an attorney. And he says, and he was now staring and talking to her. He says, "I'm here to help her get an attorney and get this divorce." And he was talking about things that there's no way he could have known, right? And I'm like, and she freaked out. Like, he was talking to her and she just freaked out. And she, could you please unlock, please unlock the door. She ran in and locked herself in the Jeep, never returned, never returned. He says, "I'm sorry about that." And I said, "That's okay." And I said, he goes, "You really do love video games." And I said, "But I'm like, how do you know?" And I'm starting to feel very uneasy. Like how you can't just place something, something's wrong or not wrong, but you just can't place it. And that's what was taking place. And I'm like, "I've seen you before." And this was the second time I've seen this angel. And I'm like, and he's just talking to me about things, about money, about knowing things, about knowing influential people and stuff like this. And I'm like, "Well, that's good for you, good for you." And then he said, "Jason, it's really about the love." And he went to give me a fist bump. And I'm like, not Jason, but he says, "It's really about the love." And he's just smiling. I mean, he never stops smiling. And he tries to give me a fist bump. He goes, "It really is about the love." And finally, I gave him a fist bump on the third time, right? And when I gave him a fist bump, his hand was ice cold, like there was no blood in it. And I'm looking and I go, "Well," and he's still smiling. I go, "Well, you're right. It is all about love. There is nothing else but love." I said, "I had a near-death experience 3 years ago." And he cocked his head off to the side and he stopped smiling and he goes, "I know you did." And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I said, and he started talking to me, and I looked over my shoulder again to make sure she was okay, because now it's been about 15 or 20 minutes, and now he's standing in front of me, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. I mean, I didn't hear him shuffle his feet to get off the ground, grab the cane or anything, and I'm like, he goes, you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, and he goes, your name is Jason, right? And I go, okay. I was like, what's going on? I never said my name. And I said, what else is new? I've been scraping the bottom of the barrel since I was in my 20s. I mean, robbing Peter, Paul, and Mary just to pay John. And I said, yeah, what else is new? And he says, I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like, well, that's the fifth, sixth time you said that. I said, okay. And he says, well, I drank about 110. I said, you drank $110,000 worth of booze, alcohol. I said, yeah. I said, that's why I lost everything. And, again, I'm here in Wisconsin. You're trying to put two and two together, and it's almost impossible because, you're just being duped. And he said, would you be okay with that? And I said, okay with what? Making 110,000 a year? I was like, I'm making $32,000 a year. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. He goes, no. He said, a month. I said, a month? I'm trying to do the math, and that's roughly that's like 1.3 million a year. I said, he said, would you be okay with that? And I said, yes. Yeah. And he says, great, walk with me. So as I'm walking with him, because he wanted to go drink, right? And I picked up his bag for him. Again, he's wearing ratty clothes. They're all from the 70s, like all worn out, faded out. He wasn't filthy. There was no filth on him. He was just, the clothes that he was wearing were old, outdated, and ratty. And I'm like, he's starting to walk ahead of me. And he says, yeah, you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I said, well, hey, I don't have a job right now. I have no money. I'm living off a couple credit cards, and thanks. Yeah. I said, yeah. What else is new? I said, it's life for Jason. And I said, but I've been changing my ways and thinking positively. He goes, I know. And I'm like, and he says, so you'd be okay with that? I said, making that? Yes, I'd be okay. And then he's walking, and he was about 5 feet in front of me. He goes, would you be willing to relocate? And I said, relocate for that kind of money? Sure. Yeah, yeah. And he goes, hmm, hmm. He goes, how about Sacramento? I said, California? I said, come on. I said, for that kind of money? Sure. Okay. Now he says, great, walk with me. So I walk with him, get him into the bar. We had a great conversation. I gave him a pat on the shoulder, said, I don't even know his name. Never told me his name, but he knew me in detail, everything about me. And I said, it was nice meeting you. I said, I hope you truly find what's happening with you, buddy. I gave him a pat on the shoulder again, started walking out the door. I said, come on, come on. I turned around. And when I left him at the bar, there was a bunch of people there. When I turned around, he was all gone. No cane, no him, no bag, no nothing. I'm like, okay, what, what's this about? And I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling just dead tired. And I run back to the Jeep, and she goes, what was that all about? She goes, I'm so tired. And I was driving away, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the same guy I saw in the bathroom with same facial features, same immaculate beard, just a different color, different hair, different clothing. And I said, oh my God, that was Archangel Michael. And he said, like, he says, I said, she goes, why am I so tired? I said, it's an energy chant where that's how we communicate, not like this. And she goes, well, I'm tired. She went back to my place and she fell asleep for like 4 hours. And I was like, why is God sending me Archangel Michael now this is this twice in 2 years, right? Now we're going to fast forward a bit. Now, I don't know if you knew about this event. About 4 months ago, it was a really good day. Came home from work, normal time. So it'd be about 4:30, quarter to 5. Now, every morning before I get up, I've been meditating now for the last year and a half. So I get up between 1, 2 every morning. No lights ever come on. I get up, I make the bed perfectly in the dark, pitch dark, go take a shower in the pitch dark, grab a bottle of water, sit down, listen to some theta music or binaural beats, meditate, try and get some sleep, went off to work. No lights were on. Couch was made perfectly, beds, everything. So I come back from work, having a good time. I'm like, oh, I can game, I can relax. It's I get to stream tonight, go live. And I walk in, and all of a sudden, all the lights are on. My computer chair is pulled out away from my desk and facing the patio. I look over to my couch. My couch is completely torn apart. All the pillows are thrown on the floor. All the blankets and stuff were thrown on the floor. My stuffed animal, Olaf, he was on the floor. Living room light, kitchen lights were on, and I get this sinking feeling in my gut, like, what? I'm feeling something. Something's not right. And I'm like, well, and I'm just staring there, like, how could this be? I said, well, maybe maintenance was here. I said, no, the deadbolt was locked, and I said, and my iPad that I'm on right now is a brand new iPad Air. That's sitting there. My $3,000 computer, my 63-inch TV, nothing's taken. I go into, I look into the kitchen, the lights are on, and I'm like, so I start walking down the hall. I look into the second bedroom. The whole bed is torn apart. I mean, the bed sheet that wraps around the bed, that's torn off. Everything's thrown on the floor. And I'm like, all the pillows and blankets, comforters, all thrown on the floor. I'm like, I go into my room, bedroom lights on. My bed is torn apart, pillows thrown into the middle of the bed. My bathroom lights on, and I'm like totally disheveled. Like, but nothing of value is taken. I had 3 very expensive bass guitars sitting there. Nothing is taken. And I'm like, so I call up a couple people, a couple meeting. One was, he talked to me about something, but then I called somebody else, and she was like, Jason, something big's going to happen in your life. It's coming big. And that was their way of telling you something big was coming, but I couldn't place it, right? So now we're going to fast forward to July, beginning of July. I get a message from my landlord saying, your rent has gone up almost to $1,500. And I'm like, I can't afford that. I mean, I'm barely getting by with the $1,400 I'm paying now. And I said, what am I going to do? I said, I've been applying in that past month and previous month. I've been applying for jobs. I couldn't find a job. I found a couple interviews. Oh, we'll give you the same amount I was making. That does me no good, right? So now I'm desperately trying to find not only new work, but now I'm applying to apartments, and I'm calling places. I'm leaving text messages. I'm leaving voicemails. I'm filling out rental applications. Not one job got back to me. Not one rental place got back to me. And now it's the middle of the month, and I'm like, I have to be out. I'm homeless. I said, nobody is getting back to me. And I sat on the couch, and I was like, what am I going to do? And, and I said, you know what? I'm moving to Arizona. That's it. Got a pod from U-Haul, and I'm starting to pack up all my stuff. I left my job early. I quit, and started packing everything up. And then I'm trying to save as much as I can. And then I'm
So
trying to
why
move
did you
on.
choose Arizona? Just for anyone who doesn't know the story.
Because I just always liked Arizona. I had no desire to go to California. And I knew in the back of my head, Jason, you're supposed to go to Sacramento, right? And I'm like, no, California. No, I don't want California. I really don't. And I said, I'm a god. I can do what I want. No. So, defiant a little bit. So I said, I get this pod. So I'm getting everything. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not going to be able to fit anything. And I'm just like standing out in this blazing sun. And then the voice in my head, clear as day, said, Jason, purge. And then I just began to everything that I boxed up. And I'm talking brand new crock pots, dishes, my whole life. Now I just turned around and threw into the dumpster. I took my 63-inch plasma TV, threw it in the garbage. My computer desk, threw it in the garbage. Everything went in the garbage except for my bed, my guitars, some clothes, some personal things. Right, I'm Second Amendment guy, so I do have rifles, and I have some things that went in there too. And that was another reason for Arizona. They're very Second Amendment friendly. So I got my couch and I got my bed in there. which was a king size bed. And I got my couch, loaded everything up to the top. And it was just basically essentials, clothes. I had my, because I built a brand new computer. So that went in there, my monitor, 32-inch curved monitor, all three of my guitars, my good clothes and stuff, but everything else got tossed out. And I'm like, okay. And not once, Rod, did I ever fall into fear. You know, I was like, Jason, you're going to move all the way across the country. You don't know anybody or anything. You're leaving your children, you're leaving your grandchildren because of what took place 2 years ago. And I'm like, I got the pod loaded up. They said, okay. And then on the 25th of July, I hit the road. Took me 4 days to get to Arizona. My buddy, very good friend of mine, he got me a couple hotel rooms in Arizona, Flagstaff, and then one in Phoenix. Let me tell you, man, Phoenix is hot. I don't know where you live in Australia, but when it's 115 degrees out, it's smoking hot. We're not talking any humidity. We're just talking a straight up 115 degrees. And I had never felt heat like that in my entire life. And I'm like, oh my God, is it hot? He says, Jason, you cannot be homeless in Phoenix. You can't. He said, you're going to die. So he got me a hotel room, right? So then I got this hostel. You know what a hostel is, right?
Yeah.
It's like a shared room, right? And I had no. I'm a loner. I've been alone for 10 years now after my divorce. This was very hard for me to start sharing a room and a shower. Made some friends, you know, and then I got a room for 2 weeks thinking I'll find a job quick. This is good news. I applied to like 12 jobs down there, 12, 15 jobs. Every one of them denied. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, and I'm like, okay, all right, you know. And then I go to use my key. And the key didn't work. So I go to the office. Oh, you got to get out. You guys have been evicted. Wait a minute. I have like 8 days left. He goes, no, you're evicted. So I told another person and they went down there. He goes, I've never heard of anything like this. Now, if you're paying attention to what's going on, there's a reason why this is happening, right? The non-physical is saying, Jason, no, you don't belong there. I don't care. No. So defiant me, I went and got a hotel room for 3 days because it's brutally hot, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I get this great idea. I'll go up to Prescott, up in the mountains, and I'll get a camping site for 2 weeks, $18 a day. Got it labeled up, got up there. Man, was it hot up there too. Holy Christ. I mean, 105, 106. And I'm like, oh my God, is it hot? You know, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And now I'm in Prescott. Now I'm applying to jobs, job after job after job. Denied. I'm like, what is going on? I've worked in this field for 15 years. What is going on? Right. And next thing I know, I'm there 3 days. And then I wake up and I'm in excruciating pain, my groin. Like I've been kicked there all night, right? And now I have a brutal migraine. Brutal. Now, mind you, that shouldn't be. I haven't eaten in 3 or 4 days, but I've been drinking water like crazy. So I'm chugging down the water. And next thing I know, I'm starting to vomit. I'm just vomiting and I'm dizzy, lightheaded. I'm sitting down. And this had gone on for like 6 to 7 hours. And I couldn't take it anymore. I threw the seats back down in the Jeep, got it fed, took my clothes off, climbed back in, threw the back windows down a little bit. And I laid there and I said, oh, okay. I said, okay. You guys want me in California. I said, oh, that's the deal. Okay. You don't want me. I said, fine. And I'm defiant. I'm yelling at him. Right? I said, fine. I'll go to Sacramento tomorrow morning. And the moment I said that, Rod, all pain left. The groin was fine. I was fine there. The headache was gone. Everything was gone, right? And I got up and I'm standing in the middle of the road because there was nobody at this campsite. Nobody. And I'm standing in the middle of the road with this is how I shower every day. Okay. I fill it with a little bit of water in the Jeep and I shower and shave. No different. So standing there, butt naked, showered up. And I said, are you happy? I'm going to drive. There we go. I'm on my way. So get to Sacramento, 12 hours. I'm on fumes. I'm tired. I find this truck stop. I can't drive anymore. I'm falling asleep. I get woken up by the police. Lights flashing. You can't sleep here. Get out. Leave. Go. And I'm like, you know, And then I found some place to sleep on the side of the road, wasn't harassed, passed out. My buddy called, how was it? And we found this truck stop here. It's 30 miles south of Sacramento. So I'm in a town called Lodi. And it's a truck stop. It's a Love's truck stop. They got showers, but that's $20 a day that I can't afford. So, I fill up my gallon of water, and that's how I shave.
Oh man.
That's how I shave. That's how I wash myself down, brush my teeth. And so what I didn't know is that my landlord then said, Jason, you didn't have to leave. You had till the end of August. Well, I didn't know that. They didn't tell me that until after I had left. I said, that's too late now. I made all the plans. So now I'm sitting here applying for jobs. It's brutally hot. When I get here a month ago, I mean, the average temperature was 102 to 105. I'm in a Jeep and I'm being crushed with heat, right? I didn't have this thing in the front to block out the sun, and I figured ways to block out sun. And I'm applying for jobs left and right, having beautiful phone interviews. Just 2 days later to be sorry, no, sorry, no. And I'm like, all right. I said, fine. I get it. You don't want, okay, I get it. That part of Jason is over. Okay, I get it. And I finally just quit applying for jobs, because how many are you going to go? 42, 43, 44, 50, 60, 70, all to be denied, right? So now I'm sitting here homeless, no money. Like right now, they took out my phone bill just now. I got the email. So that leaves me well under $100. No money. Okay. Gas here is $5 a gallon. You tell me with a 20-gallon tank how far that's going to get me. Nowhere. So now, can't really go anywhere. And now I'm sitting here for the next 3 weeks, and frustration built up beyond frustration. And I'm watching the flea circus, meaning your lives take place, everybody going to work, everybody believing in their dream, believing in their reality, believing in what they're doing, going to get work, buying stuff, buying food, buying this, buying that. And I'm sitting here just doing nothing. I know I have a car payment to make, but I can't make that. I need groceries, but that's slim to none. Thank God I have some channel members that really help me out. And I'm sitting here doing nothing. And I went onto YouTube or Facebook, and there was a message saying, you're simply here to relax, to do nothing, to just simply do nothing. That is your job at the moment. Do you know how hard that is to do, Rod? When you've been
I
told
can't imagine.
how you've been living your life the wrong way, because you've been taught up to grow up. You need to get a job. You need to do this. You need to have a good home. You need to have a college education. Well, we didn't come here to do any of that, but that still applies to me. I still have to pay bills. I still have to do this. I still need to buy food. So frustration, finally, it got to me. And, you're not going to like this, but most people won't, but it's okay, because what happened after that was beautiful. So I'm sitting here one night about 10 o'clock. I'm looking at the desert. I'm starting to meditate. I have the windows down. It's cool. Cool air is coming in. And I'm going to say some shitty words, but it has to be told this way. And I said, Father, Holy Spirit, Yeshua, I said, where were you guys? You didn't want me in, you made damn sure that I wasn't in Wisconsin anymore. Couldn't find a job, still can't find one. You moved me away from my children, my grandchildren, everything I've ever known. I said, you wanted me in Sacramento. I got into Sacramento. Where were you? And I was cussing. I said, where the were you? You got me kicked out, run out. And where are you? Here I am, 3 weeks. Nothing. Where are you? I said, you know what? All three of you can fuck off. All three of you. All three of you can just go fuck yourself. All of you. I've had it. Here I am. Where are you? Don't worry, right? What did you say? You'll hear from me soon. Well, here I sit. Where are you? Nowhere. So, you know what? All three of you, fuck off. I said, no, I don't feel guilty at all. I've had it. And I went through my meditation, and I began to cry. I just began to sob. And I went to bed that night, and I had the most beautiful lucid dream. I mean, I was given the most beautiful lucid dream. And I mean, I met the highest version of myself that I'm becoming right now. And I mean, it was magnificent. I felt every moment of it, right? Now, mind you, just a few hours earlier, I just told all three of them where they could go, right? Now, they knew I didn't mean it. I was just frustration, but I was living what I was manifesting. It was there. And I woke up at like 2:20 in the morning and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm right where I need to be. This is right where I need to be. Everything's fine. And I went back to bed. And when I woke up, I couldn't remember it other than I was here where I needed to be. 2 days later, literally sitting in the same spot, I was looking out at the desert. It was around 5 or 6 p.m. And I said, Father, I am grateful for being here. I said, I am. And then all of a sudden, the voice in my head said, you're early. Clear as day, you're early. And then a couple minutes later, I was like, oh my God, I wasn't supposed to leave Wisconsin until the end of August when my lease was up. They didn't tell me that, remember? So I showed up a month early. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, Father, I am so sorry. I said, I don't feel guilty about it. So I said, but I am sorry. But the Holy Spirit said, Jason, you're early. You know, you messed up the timeline. And the whole me going to Arizona was them telling me, no, that's not where you need. That's no. Anything you try and do other than being here in Sacramento is not going to work. It's not going to fly. And yes, you are to sit here and do nothing. And, but it was your early. And then that was the last time I apologized to him. I said, I am truly sorry for that outburst. I said, I'm not guilty. I'm frustrated. I said, you know, I'm frustrated. You can feel it in me, but I have surrendered. I don't look for jobs. I know I'll be taken care of. And I know you won't let anybody hurt me. And you have shown me without question that the new version of Jason is on its way. And I will sit here and I will comply. And that is why, Rod, I am sitting here in Sacramento, California, away from everything I've ever known, right? My children, my grandchildren, you know, my 19-year-old's going to college. This is, you know, Dad, I love you. I'm worried about you. You know, I miss you. And I'm away from everything I've ever known. And my whole trip here, right? There was not 1 ounce of fear. I was like, look at this adventure. I'm going on an adventure, right? Everywhere I go, I'm looking on trucks, angel numbers, 888-777, right? 444-222. I'm looking at license plates, 9999. I stopped in Colorado Springs to fill up, right? And I'm looking at the beginning of the Rocky Mountains. And I know in my head, like, I'm creating this right now. And I'm walking around, I hear the pump stop. And I go to the pump, $33.33. 3333, right? So I'm being divinely guided all the way here. And I enjoyed my time in Arizona. I enjoyed my time in Flagstaff and Prescott, you know, camping. But they made sure that I got here. But they also made sure that I was early and I messed up the whole timing thing. And not once since I've been here have I been afraid, right? I'm frustrated that I can't do anything. And it's hard to sit here and do nothing when you know the game. That you're supposed to get up, go to work, you're supposed to pay the bills, you're supposed to rah, blah, 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 and do all of this, right? And to sit here and watch everybody do that, right, it's maddening. I'm dealing with the heat. I'm dealing with, you know, immense heat, frustration. You know, I can't go out and sit because then I'm just sitting in 105-degree sun, you know, so I'd rather sit in some amount of shade. And that was the last spiritual experience I had, was that beautiful lucid dream. Now, I know you've had a lucid dream, so you know what I'm talking about. But that was them showing me that I have reached the highest version of myself, the one that is wealthy, the one that is beyond successful. Everything that I've been manifesting, right, is coming to fruition. And that is why I'm here, because that is something in this area. Something is going to happen where Jason's version of, you know, the abundant version of Jason is going to take off. And that is why I'm here. You know, I believe without question. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I caused it to myself by coming here early. So, you know, that's on me. So,
man. All right. Well, firstly, look, I have to acknowledge you, brother, because, you know, plenty of people would have checked out by now. And I won't say the word, but I mean, firstly, the fact that you've uprooted yourself, disposed yourself of most of your worldly possessions. And I can tell everyone that Jason has a YouTube channel, but he makes no money from his YouTube channel. Like, it's
No.
not like he has anything as a backstop. And to maintain an attitude of, well, something's coming, it takes a lot of courage. So yeah, look, I acknowledge you for that, man. And
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
tough.
and you're still dividing, you're still putting effort and time to talk to people and engage with people with your live streams, and you don't need to do any of that. And there's nothing in that for you other than that is something that you are giving to your community. So, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize what it's like on the other side of that. But man, props to you for sure.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate it, you know, and I was like, you know, once I got settled in, I was like, you know, I miss my community. I miss my people, you know, and, you know, props to you as well, reaching 20,000, you know, and somebody said, well, Jason, you don't have 20,000, 30, 40,000 yet. And I said, well, you know, when people do just near-death experiences, people want to hear about the near-death experiences, right? I go into the nitty-gritty. I go into the depths of the truth of why we're here, what this is, what this was meant to be, right? I go into detail. I talk about the stuff that nobody will talk about, not just, you know, I'll talk about my near-death experience, but I also talk about the truth that you all need to know. And that is really more detailed and more specific than just talking about an NDE, right? So, you know, my channel hasn't reached 8,000 yet. And it's what, a little over a year old. And you're right, I don't make any money off YouTube. And when that's coming because I know it. It was shown to me in my lucid dream that everything that I wanted is coming, meaning my abundance through my channel, through my website and stuff like that is coming. But to sit here and do what I did, I missed my community. I missed talking to them. You know, I missed the interaction. And when I started this, I told myself, it isn't about the money. It isn't about any of that. It isn't about the fame and fortune that will come. But I said to myself, if I can reach one person, if I can save one person, I know when I leave or when I wake up from the dream that I've done my job, right? And that's why I started the channel. And with your help, thank you very much. And by the way, guys, any of you from my channel, I want to give a shout out to Rod, because he is the one that has launched my channel. He's the one that helped me get it started. He's also the one that does all my video editing and gets the videos up for you guys. So without him, Love and Light Jason wouldn't be here. So to you, my brother, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yep. So it really comes down to what Jesus said. Do you have faith? Do you believe? And this is a good thing that I brought up the other day, is, you know, in the Bible, hello, Michael, the bleeding woman, right? If she said, and she's crying, you know, if I could just touch a piece of his garment, if I can just touch a fringe of his garment, I'll be okay. If I can just touch the fringe of his garment. She had such faith that she would be healed, that she didn't need to talk to him, see him, that she could just barely touch the fringe of his garment. And then when she fell to the ground, just grabbing a fringe of it, she was healed. And Jesus said, it wasn't me that healed you. It was your faith, your undying faith in believing, not in only me, but in yourself. And Jesus turned around and said, you taught me something today, right? So that is the kind of faith that I have when I sit here for 24 hours, knowing that what is coming is coming. There is no doubt or hesitation. The longer I postpone it by applying for jobs and doing this, the farther it's going to take, the longer it's going to take me for that to come in, because I'm showing them, you know, I don't trust you. And that is why I have given up. And people in my channel have donated when I asked you about super thanks, right? One woman She gave me $300, and it's unfortunate that YouTube stole 150 of it. But without that coming in this month, the 200 coming in, that pays my phone bill. So I get a little money back that I can buy, a little bit of gas and a little bit of ice to keep my water cool, right? It's faith that keeps me going. It's belief. All these experiences that I've had, out of body experiences, meetings with angels, why I'm sitting here in California, right? It's all about, do you believe? Do you have the faith? Do you believe? And you're right. Most people on my journey said, Jason, I couldn't do it. You're a brave man. There's no way I could do what you're doing. I'm unhappy in every aspect of my life, but I couldn't do that, right? That's fear. Fear is darkness, and I shed that a long time ago. So am I frustrated? Of course. But do I believe? Without doubt, without question. So.
Amazing, man. So we've got a few people that have been popping in. Michael, yeah, we can we can see your comments. But I need to manually show them to have them pop up on the screen here. But thanks for joining us. He's saying been isolated all summer to also had a supernatural experience. Yeah, that would be interesting to see what's been going on there, but I hope you're doing okay. Pedro from Portugal, thanks for tuning in as well, all the way from Portugal. I don't know what time it is there. It must be pretty late.
It's got to be late. Hey,
Yeah.
Pedro, pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
So what's a typical day for you like at the moment then, Jace? Like take today, for example.
Today, I got up.
What was it? How'd that look?
Let's see, about 4 o'clock this morning, because this parking lot fills up because people, that are traveling and stuff, they'll pull next to you. And, I put up blankets and stuff, to shed me out. And then, so I get up around 4 because nobody's there, right? I'll go to the bathroom. I have a water jug, back there, a gallon water jug. So I'll go fill it up with warm water. I'll go to the bathroom, then I'll come back with it. And then, like I said, I fill this up to right about there. And I get my head wet, and then, I shave, and then, I'll open up my door quietly, throw it underneath the Jeep, rinse it out, throw it out, right? And then I'll fill it up again with warm water, take off my clothes. And then, of course, I'll wash my face, dry myself off with a towel, then wash down there, get cleaned up, put my clothes back on. Then I'll brush my teeth, rinse out that, and then I'll go back, fill that jug up with water, because now that's what fills up these. And then I have a cooler back there full of ice and about 12 other bottles. So and I go through $6 every other day just in ice to keep these bottles cool. And I have no money coming in unless somebody wants to generously donate through my Venmo or Cash App or PayPal.
Yeah.
I
do you have access to any sort of social security over there? I don't know how it works in America.
No. I mean, that's not really available to me until I'm 67. So that'd be like,
okay.
50. No, that's not possible. So, and so through this month, people have been donating. People have been, I'll wake up and in my Venmo, there's $100, right? Or there's $25. Or there's, I'll wake up the other day and I hear this, and all of a sudden I look at my my Google account, and there's a grocery order. Somebody had placed a grocery order for me, about $80 worth of groceries. And what I eat every day is simply a can of Dinty Moore beef stew. So I'm living off of about 300 to maybe 400 calories a day is all I get. And with my bottles of water. And do I have a place to heat that Dinty Moore beef stew up? No. So I snap the top off, and I have a couple loaves of bread. So I'll put some Dinty Moore beef stew on a couple pieces of bread, and that's what I eat for the day. And that's my day. I started reading, A Course in Miracles because Jesus wanted me to read it. So I'm reading A Course in Miracles, and the book is almost done. Then I'll hit the workbook. So I'll read, and I get up in the morning after I get done shaving and stuff. Then I'll sit here and I'll meditate. as best I can because I'm cramped. So everything's cramped and I get irritated, and I do the best I can. And I keep my meditation schedule. Then I'll start, depending on how tired I am. Sometimes I'll just sleep, right? Because I didn't get any sleep, and I'll just sleep, and I'll get up. I'll try and read a chapter or two. And then it becomes too hot. Then I just bring the seat down and try and stay out of the top half of this so it's cooler. And I'll just sleep. And I'll think, well, okay, everybody's going to work. Listen to people having fun. Listen to people doing their thing. Yay. And what am I doing, God? Oh, that's right. I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Thanks, pal. I love you. I do. Thanks. So that's my day. And then, night comes, and thank God, because then the cool air comes in, because in the desert, it does get cold. It'll get into the low 50s. And then all the cool air comes in. I'm like, and then I'll change shirts. And then I'll watch a couple things on YouTube, some videos or something on my iPhone. My friend just bought me some solar panels because I have to run my Jeep to charge my iPad and my iPhone, because I have this little this little battery, right? And that really doesn't do much, but I go through, a quarter tank of gas every 3 or 4 days running to keep this stuff charged. And I'm like, so what he did is, all of a sudden I woke up to this text, bling, 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 is he bought me solar panels, right? That I can throw on the top of my car. It's a 20-watt, and it's got 3 or 4 plugins from USB, A to C. And not only will it charge my iPhone, charge my iPad, but it'll also charge my wireless charger.
Yeah, portable. Yeah, nice.
So I can throw that on the top of my car. Now I can charge all my stuff. I don't have to go through gas. So you see what I'm saying? How
it's like you're camping in a truck stop. That's sort of
right. I'm glamping in a way. So, and I can go, I mean, look, I don't mean to be gross, but you guys take a poop every day, right? I'll take a poop maybe once a week.
Yeah, well, with what you're eating, that's not surprising. It's more efficient. Michael Williams Jr. just donated $5. I just sorry to interrupt you. If you do a super thanks, this is on my channel. I will send the whole lot to Jason. So if you want to make a donation, that's fine to do that. Just so you know, I'm just going to send it over to him. But thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So
Raspberry, she's on my channel all the time. So there you go. When I'm reading
yeah,
A Course in Miracles, you are amazing, hon. Thank you for following me, sweetie. I am beyond honored and grateful. A Course in Miracles is pretty easy for me to read. I mean, it's everything I experienced in my near death, right? So what I'm learning in this is everything. There's some things that I've learned that I was like, Jesus goes in deeper. Or I'm like, wow, and I'll jot that down, right? But most of what I'm reading in A Course in Miracles is stuff that I've learned in my near death. It's everything that I experienced, right? But I'm so honored, Raspberry. Thank you, hon. But for anybody that hasn't had a near death experience, it's going to be a very hard read. So when I'm talking in my channel and I'm telling you these things and I'm being specific, right? And these people are like, wow, that's deep. And I'm like, yeah, you guys need to know this. It's okay. I could sit here and do nothing. I mean, I could sit here on this information, but when I was going through my ascension, and I was struggling, and you and I were talking, and I was video gaming, and then all of a sudden I heard, start your channel, your YouTube channel. I'm like, how the hell do I do that? This guy did. He reached out and he set it all up, got it going, charged me $0, does my videos for $0. He makes a small commission. What he makes got to be zip for nothing, but still get something. Got me going.
No, no commission either.
Yeah,
that's it.
So it's and then I had somebody start my my webpage, my business. They paid for it for a year, got it up and running, and then I've really tweaked it recently. But then I heard Jason, no more smallness, no more thinking small, right? And that's what I learned in my near-death experience, is how massive I am, how unlimited, how powerful I am. And Everything, guys, I'm going to make this very clear for all of you listening. When the moment you awaken or your eyes open, these aren't eyes, by the way, they're lenses, but the moment they awake and you see what you see and you feel what you feel is a direct result of the contract that you stood before your Father, before God, and said, this is what I want to experience. So whether you're feeling sadness, unhappiness, anger, rage, you're horny, whatever it is, that is exactly what you asked God for, and you are experiencing it in the 3D now. Everything. So when you think, well, I didn't deserve this, yes, you did, because that's what you wanted to experience. And I can almost guarantee you, if it was hard, he probably said to you, you know, this is going to be hard. And, you know, when we're on the other side, let me tell you, it's like, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. You know, don't worry about it. And then we get here and go, you know, I mean, come on. You know, doesn't anybody love me? But everything you're feeling and experiencing is exactly what you asked God for, period. Now, can you change your contract? Yeah, but you've got to do it a certain way. And that's what I've been doing now here when I've been out in California. Ooh, I'm starting to itch. That's the crown chakra. But you got to do it a certain way. All right. You have, first of all, you have to understand who you are. Okay. Nobody on this planet is special. Nobody. Jesus isn't special. Nobody is special. Okay. Period. Get that through your heads right now, guys. There is no specialness on this planet or in the universe. Period. End of subject. Second, if you want your contract changed, you have to do it a certain way. If you're unhappy with your life, in your marriage, in your education, whatever it is, you don't like what you're experiencing, you have to remember that you asked for it and you got it. But to change it, you have to go through a set of kind of acknowledgments and truths. And one of them is, all right, Father, what I see and what I am experiencing is exactly what I asked for. Okay. And when I tell them, I made a huge mistake, Father, huge. No, I know I'm not unworthy. I know I am beyond, not even close to being special. I know I'm loved and adored. I know I'm power, and I know I'm limitless. And I said, so Holy Spirit, I don't want this anymore. And from that moment on, the Holy Spirit will take it. Now remember, you're not as powerful as Jesus, so it's not just going to automatically pop up in the 3D. Now this is going to take some time, but you're not done yet in the process. Now you have to go to Father and the Holy Spirit and say, you know, I know how powerful I am. If I'm powerful enough to create my reality, which I'm experiencing right now with you, Father, because you're my co-creator, you allowed this to happen, then I know I'm just as powerful to uncreate it. And I said, that is exactly what I'm doing now. And I said, you can take it. It's no longer mine. I know my worth. And that is when I will go into my manifestations of my new life. And that's what I was shown in my lucid dream. And I snapped on it, right? So I was shown what's coming. Mass, beautiful. I mean, everything that I've been asking for the last year and a half. But I'm now meeting that energy, right? So I'm now rising in energy. And I have felt myself jump dimensions twice since I've been here. And the last one I'll tell you about is I met somebody in this truck stop. She works there, right? And we'd always chat. She gave me her number. We went out, had a burger together. She bought it. Having a good time. She was texting me. I went in there the other 2 days ago. She wouldn't even look at me. Wouldn't even look at me. Just gave me a nasty look. And I instantly knew what it was. I raised my energy. She doesn't like it. So I'm like, okay, no problem, whatever. And I just went on about my day. But in order for you to get what you guys want and to create, you have to match that energy. You can't sit in that darkness. You have to raise your vibration. Remember, you simply exist as a frequency. Like when you turn on your radio station, well, I want to listen to this, this, and this, and you tune it in, right? And you're able to receive it. That's because you match that frequency. If you didn't, you'd get nothing but static. Same thing goes with money. Same thing goes with abundance. Same thing goes with success. If you don't match that energy, because you're sitting in hate, anger, and rage, it'll never come. I don't care how many good thoughts you have, right? If you say, I'm fat, I'm unworthy, I'm no good, nobody's going to love me, well, then you're going to sit in that darkness, okay? And that's just as simple as that. So if you don't raise that energy, sorry guys, they're doing something. I gotta close my window.
It's like a snowing.
It is. It's grass, and now I'm all sweaty, so now I'm covered in grass. Um, so sorry about that. Sorry. So you got to match that energy. Money is simply a frequency. Money doesn't exist, like you don't exist, guys. Your body is meaningless and littleness, and it doesn't exist. Nothing exists here. Everything that you're perceiving, that's exactly what it is. It's nothing more than a perception of what you're dreaming, because you're simply at home dreaming. Nothing here is real. Period. Money is nothing more than a frequency. If you don't meet that frequency, it'll come in spurts because you feel unworthy of that money. You feel unworthy of that frequency. Therefore, it'll never come. Same thing in a relationship. Why a woman will say, why am I always attracting men that abuse me and beat me and hurt me? Because that's where your vibration is. You feel unworthy of having a good, beautiful man in your relationship. And I'm telling you now, nobody in a high vibration or top notch will come down there. I won't. Right? Because I'm in the light and I like where I'm at and I keep rising. And that is why things take place in your life the way they do. That's what you asked for. Now, if you want it changed, I just told you how to change it. So, you know, and religion plays no part in any part of this. God doesn't care about your religion. Religion plays nothing in your life, period. So, any of you are holding on to that cross or that Bible, well, means nothing to your Father, nothing, and or to Jesus. So that route won't save you because you don't need to be saved. You're already home.
So I made the title of the live stream "Exposing the Lies They've Told Us." We've covered a fair bit of ground. What would you say is the biggest thing that you've realized was a very distinct untruth that you've learned since your NDE?
The distinct untruth. When I came back from my near-death experience, and now when I told you, this is going to upset a lot of people, but I don't care. That means I'm just doing my job. When I came back from my NDE, I was very mad. I was very mad. Well, why? Well, I grew up, the only language that I knew was being Christian. I was a Catholic, and my grandparents taught me that. My parents, I don't think ever went to church. I don't think I ever saw my mother in a church, period. So I got my Catholicism through my grandmother. And as a child, you know this, I was beaten. I was abused by my parents, mostly my mother. And I forgive her, I love her, and that's neither here or there, but giving you background. So I went through, all the crap that you have to do in Catholicism, went through all the I can't even think of them right now. The sacraments, there you go, right? I got pulled out of public school in 5th grade, so I went from 5th grade to 6th grade in a Catholic church. I had that Bible shoved down my throat every single day. We had to read from it, back and front, left and right, didn't matter. Enacting plays, I was an altar boy. I firmly believed, without question, what I was being taught. Good, bad, right and wrong, light and the darkness, heaven and hell, God and Satan, demons, all of that. You'll be lucky if you're saved, right? You're nothing but a worthless sinner that you'll be lucky if it comes in that you'll be saved. I had bisexual experiences when I was younger, and then that fateful morning came in. My grandma, it was about 1978, 79, and she came to wake me up for church, and I kicked her really hard. And I sat up and I said, don't you ever wake me up to go to that shit again. Don't you ever wake me up. God doesn't care about me. God hates me. I said, don't you ever wake me up. I said, I'll take care of myself. And she was just floored, just stunned. And I could see that I hurt her deeply, right? And she said, Janas. And I said, don't you ever wake me up. God doesn't love me. Nobody does. And I went through my life that way, right? I said, I'll take care of myself. I had a very hard life, very hard life. First marriage was kaput, even though she died on me. It was still a very brutal one. My second, and I've struggled with money my whole life because I felt unworthy. I felt unloved. I felt unworthy of anything, right? And um, again, I had my bisexual experiences early on. And going through Catholic school in the 5th and 6th grade, I found out that I was nothing more than an abomination to God, that I was completely and totally unworthy of him in any way, shape, or form. And that's when I truly said, you know what? You can all fuck off. I don't care. I'm going to enjoy doing what I'm doing. And when I go to hell, then so be it. Whatever. Right. And I went through my life that way. I did drugs. I drank. I abused people. I mean, verbally, physically, or I got physically manhandled. Didn't matter. Right. Had a very hard life. And now we're going to fast forward. Now it's 2020. I'm drowning in my own blood. Right. I know what's taking place. And here comes that day that I said, well, I don't give a shit about. Right. And I started coughing up all kinds of blood, like massive amounts of blood. FaceTime my ex-wife, she finally answered, and she's like, what do you want? And I tried to talk to her, and blood just covered my iPhone. And I'm like, I put my head down, I'm like, I'm like, I cough and blood would come up and I could get a breath of air, a little one. And I don't feel good, whatever. And that's the last thing I remember. And then I woke up in the ICU, and you know the whole thing. Hands, feet strapped to the bed, IV in the neck, stuff in my nose, tube down my throat. The moment I woke up in that darkness, I don't know what time of day it was, where it was, when it was, whatever. I don't know. There was somebody in that room. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but that presence never left. And it was a presence that I've always known. It was comforting. It was a place that I wanted to go. Somebody was there. And the nurse was like, Jason, do you want me to turn on the TV for you? And I mean, how do you tell somebody's standing there? And I had a tube in my throat, I'm like, and next thing you know, I'm getting better. They take this tube out. I had lost 75 pounds. That presence is still there. Nobody's in my room. What time of day it was, I don't know. All I saw was the sky and the top of a tree. And here it is. From the time I was a little boy, I had not spoken to God or Jesus in that time at all. Didn't ask anything, didn't pray, didn't say anything. And what do you do when you know you're going to die? I cried out to God, please. And the moment I said please, I began to sob uncontrollably. Please don't let me die. Please. I am sorry that I abandoned. Now you're trying to make a deal with God because you know you're going to go to hell, right? And so you're trying to do the best you can. And I knew it. Then I said, please don't let me die. Please let me see my children. I'm sorry I abandoned you. I'm sorry I abandoned Jesus. I never stopped believing, but I'm sorry I didn't have that relationship with you. Please don't let me die. Please let me see my children again. Please let me see my daughters. And of course, there's somebody, which is my twin flame. I won't get into. I said, please don't take her from me. Please. I love her. Please. And I went into, I want to make love to her. I want to hold her hand. And in that moment, I was looking at a dead body. I was looking at everything behind me. I was in this most unconditional love and light. And it was as warm as the sun, and it flowed through every part of my being. And for the first time in 49 years, I was at peace. There was no pain. I was just loved. Just loved. And I knew who it was, and I knew where I was. And the thought that came into my mind before I could even get it there, I was like, I'm home. I knew where I was, right? And I knew that was my Father holding me. And in that moment, I knew that everything that was ever to know, I was. I was one with everything. You, everybody listening, everybody around the world and in the universe. I was instantly one with them. I knew everything there was to ever know or will ever know in that trillionth of a second. I was watching I had 360-degree vision. I was watching everybody die or being on ventilators, the nurses doing their thing. I'm seeing through the wall out in the, and I was up on the 3rd or 4th floor. And sorry guys, I'm reaching for the power because I'm sweating profusely. And and I was looking at everything take place, and I was like looking at every blade of grass moving independently, right? I'm looking at the souls of the grass. I'm seeing the soul around the grass, the tree. And then the grass turned to look at me, and they engulfed me in their love for me. They knew exactly who I was. Now, how long this was taking place, I don't know. But I was young again. There was no pain. I was home. I knew my Father. I became one with the Father. So when Jesus said in the Bible, I and the Father are one, it simply means my mind and your mind are one. And that is absolutely the truth. My mind joined with the light. I became God. Therefore, I am God. Right? So when, however long that, then Jesus showed up, and I instantly recognized his energy. And he built the love that he bestowed upon me. Man, I'm telling you, it was unreal. I felt guilty. And the more guilt I felt, now that's the one thing you should never do, ever, is feel guilty. You are to feel guilty about nothing. You've done nothing wrong. But I felt guilt, and the more guilt I felt, the more I was adored and loved. And in that moment, that is why I called God Father. Not because Jesus did, but because the love bestowed upon me in that trillionth of a second. And for the 15 hours that I was there, 10, 5, whatever, it didn't matter. I felt like I was his one and only son. And that's a love that none of you can even possibly understand. With this archaic, barbaric language that we created to try and describe a love that I experienced is beyond infinite. It just, it fails in every aspect, right? And then my Jesus, for however long it was, right, pushed, laid my soul back around my body and then pushed my body back onto the bed, and then I was out. And then when I came to, I was like, that presence was gone. And I knew right then and there that everything I've ever learned in my life was a lie. Everything. And I was mad. I was like, I was duped. The Catholicism, the church, all of that bullshit was nothing more than a lie. There is no hell. There is no devil. There is no Satan. There are no demons. There's nothing but Father. God is. There is nothing else. I became the oneness. I am God. You, Rob, are God. Everybody on this planet is God. Jesus said it 2,000 years ago. I and the Father are one. Meaning we are all one with the Father. We all come from one mind. And that is when I said, I can't let this be. I cannot do this. And I knew instantly what my calling in this earth was, what I came here to do. And that was to teach the truth of who we are, that we are all loved, we are all one with Father, that there's nothing that any of you have done wrong. And I will get into the nitty gritty. I will get into the dirt of how Catholicism and religion has lied to you and manipulated you and deceived you into believing that you are nothing but a small speck of nothingness in this vast eternity of love. And that is how I came, to the truth of what my channel is, was that moment of my MBE.
Oh, I can see that that affects you every time you tell that story. I've seen it told a few times. Listen, we're going to wrap this up, brother. I feel like you're going to go and jump in an ice bath or something. Thank you for everybody for joining us today. Thank you, especially Michael, for your super chat. I'll send that on to Jason straight away. And thank you, brother. Thanks for being here today. It was good to talk to you again. And
yep, Michael, thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing how things elevate for you in the near future too.
Yes, I will keep you informed. I will still be doing my videos, and I'll let you know. It's just a matter of you're welcome, hon. Thank you for following me. Thank you. I'm beyond grateful. I will keep you guys informed. I just know that I'm here to do nothing, and that is so very hard to do. So it's maddening, it's frustrating, but it's knowing that I've been led here, that there is something massive going to happen. Okay, find my channel. Yep, it's Love and Light Jason.
Yeah.
Just look for me there. All right, bud.
Yeah, I think
know,
there's
if
a
you
link.
want,
There's
like
probably a
and
link in
subscribe.
the video description. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
put one in the video description as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, if anyone hasn't seen Jason's, I mean, he's on his channel. He has his this full near-death experience story. It's also the very first video on my channel, but it's worth. It's a pretty hair-raising video. It's worth watching for sure. Anyway, we'll sign off. Hang on a second there, brother. We'll just I'll just do a debrief with you before we finish up. But thank you everyone for joining us, and I'll see you on the next live stream.
Yep. Bye, guys. Love you. Yeah, it still affects me when I talk.